I'm really excited for this episode.
Nice.
We've talked about it for a while. For context, a bit of behind the scenes.
I love to read a finance book.
So Vic loves reading finance books, but also when it comes to planning our podcast, we like to try and work in advance, you know? We like to make sure that we've got enough good ideas in the bag to be able to plan our content calendar. And
if I lose my voice, it's not the end of the world.
A lot.
Yeah.
Anyway, probably about a month ago, I said to Vic, I think we're a bit low on on raising the curve episodes. Can you think of some things? And she was like, I've got some ideas. And we've recorded quite a few lately, and they have been so interesting. And I'm really looking forward to today, because when we last did an episode, it was kind of like a book review.
What was it? The psychology of money? It was
the psychology of money. And we have had so many people constantly saying that they love those types of episodes because it is a lot to read a book like that, and a lot of people don't have the time. And so I think to kind of get the best bits out of it.
Well, the book I'm reading at the moment is Come As You Are, so I can do a review after that.
I've read that book. Oh my God, it's so good.
So good.
It's
Not
about
quite,
orgasms. It's a slight tangent from finance book.
Yeah, it's about sexual accelerators and breaks and desire, and so not really financial podcast worthy, but
don't you think the accelerator break thing is fascinating?
Fascinating, yeah.
I'm going to give a 1 minute overview of this, but if anyone's interested, it's called Come As You Are, like CUM, not come, as you are. And
no, it's COME.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, lol. Yeah. Okay, it's called Come As You Are. Anyway, point is, they're talking about orgasms, but the break and accelerator thing is basically like, as women, we are so much harder for us to get in the mood than it is for guys. Like
sexual desire is our brain, not our genitals.
100%. Yeah. And like the idea that you could be in a bedroom that's like, guys could be in a bedroom that has like takeout all over the floor and just gross, and they could still like get an erection. Whereas like for me, when I read that book, I realized like a tidy, clean room with like a candle lit is the biggest aphrodisiac for me ever, which is so weird. But like small things like that can be like huge accelerators or brakes, like noise in your house if you're in a flat and everyone's super noisy.
If you're concerned about someone walking in on you, or like
all those things can make it hard for you to get aroused. So anyway, it's a great book if anyone's interested.
But that's not what we're talking about today. No. We're talking about a finance book. And even that just makes it sound boring.
No, it's not.
It's a money book. And
it's also beautiful. It's such a cool...
Sorry, it's been to Greece and back. It's a bit weathered.
I don't think it looks weathered at all. We should see my books.
So it's called The Soul of Money. And it is written by a lady called, what's her name? Lynn Twist. What a great name. Anyway, she's a global activist, and she's spent decades working with like billionaires and people in like remote communities. And it's all about... her business her charity is called The Hunger Project. And it's like she is talking about the fact, like her key thing is like, we have enough food in the world to feed everybody. It's just not distributed in the right ways and stuff. Anyway, and then she has to go and raise money from these billionaires to help, these communities in extreme poverty. And like she has to talk, anyway, she's talked to both ends of the spectrum in terms of wealth on this planet. And
what an amazing woman.
Oh, it's just like, this book is kind of a reflection of what money does to people.
Wow.
And how people interact with it, and like just how we can control it, not let it control us. And it's like pretty incredible.
Just looking even at this, for anyone who knows Brene Brown, which I feel like most of our audience will. So on the front of the book it says, it's a quote by Brene, and it says, a life-changing read with warmth, honesty, and storytelling. Lynn turns everything that we think we know about money upside down. It's the book that we all need right now. And if you look at the back, it's like Jane Goodall's read it, Deepak Chopra, like all these incredible people.
And it kind of puts our whole podcast on its head.
Oh, really? Oh, no.
So I was like, oh, gosh.
Really?
Like we're like, put money away, you might need it in the future. Like all of this is like, know your value, try and earn as much as you can, so you can invest more and like save for a rainy day. And like, anyway.
Is she going the total opposite?
Not total opposite, but there's just parts in it. I was like, oh.
Oh my God, interesting. Okay.
Yeah. The first part is all around the myth of scarcity. And it's all about the fact that, like I just said, like we've been taught to know that more is better, that there is never enough, that we'll never have enough. And this whole there is not enough like rule just like runs the world. And if you think about when you wake up in the morning, for most people, their first thought is like, I haven't had enough sleep. I haven't had enough exercise. I hadn't had enough healthy food. I haven't had enough, like all of this you instantly start your day with this scarcity, I haven't had enough mindset.
So true.
And I do that all the time. Like the number of times I wake up, I'm like, oh, I haven't had enough sleep. And then that is my mindset for the day. And I think, you know, I lean into my tiredness, or I lean into the fact that I can't concentrate. You know, and it's just like this whole, it just sets the tone.
It's like not having enough of everything. Time, not having enough time with friends, not having enough light in your house, not having enough clothes in your wardrobe. Like it is, and also I guess.
Not having enough time on this planet, not having enough time with your kids, not having enough time. Like there's just so.
But also I guess like not the time piece, but like the stuff piece is how capitalism thrives, right? And so like we've all bought into this, excuse the pun, idea that like we need more of everything, right? Because that's what big businesses actually profit off.
Yeah. And she talks about food and food on this planet. And like, she's like, there is enough food to feed every single person on this planet, but it's not because of lack. It's because of the distribution and like the system of inequality. It's like we have just been fed for years and years and years this toxic belief of scarcity, which shows up in like there's not enough, that more is better. And like this is just the way it is. Like it's a hustle. It's like you've just got to get more and more and more and more. And she's said to the point that it literally like runs people's lives of always wanting to have more and more and more and more and more.
It's quite sad, isn't it? Because it's like this like insatiable need for more in every kind of element of your life. And
it makes us like compete against each other instead of like collaborate, right? It's like if I'm competing for you for a job or for a house or to be the best business, or like, you know, competing against you in like a business sense. And a lot of communities and a lot of religions don't do this, but it makes us hoard instead of share. You know, it's like, this is mine, instead of like sharing with your community or your family or.
I'm so guilty of this. Like, I think that I've not spent enough time in cultures that it's proper community.
Yeah.
Like I've had a few moments where I've traveled to parts of the world where it's like grandmothers raise the grandkids and it's like you see babies on every hip and everyone cooks together, and it is true community. And I think we talk a lot about community in the West, but it is totally different to what it looks like in a lot of cultures.
Yeah. And I think that when you're competing and, you know, you just want more and you never have enough and you've got that scarcity mindset, it's like that just leads to so much stress. You know, it's like we don't have enough time. Okay, how do I create time? I create time by having more money. Then how do I create more money? I create more money by having, you know, maybe working harder, or like, you know, just all of this stuff feeds from a level of scarcity, not sufficiency. And it shows up in how we spend, how we save, how we treat each other, you know, like treating on each other to get to the top, to have bigger and better, whatever it is. Yeah, it's just like quite an incredible opening to the book. I was like, oh my goodness, what is my enough? I don't even know what my enough is. I don't think anyone, or like I don't think a lot of people would know what their enough is.
It's quite interesting. Like I think that Buddhism and a lot of Eastern philosophies that I've been lucky enough to like sort of learn a bit through like yoga. And you hear it in like the way that if people become monks and like, you know, you have to give up all your belongings and it's all about like being content and in the moment. And I think that with technology, with the way that we see what everyone else has that we then perceive that we don't, we live in a world where it's quite impossible unless you like give up what is modern world really to have more of a like detached against things and stuff and like
and remove that competition, right? Like being like, oh, you've got a bigger house than me, or like I want, you know, like, oh, you've got a better clothes
like leveling
than me.
The playing field. There's this thing in Buddhism where they say like, you know, you don't need to give up all your stuff or your things. You just want to make sure you have your palms up, and it's like so it's like rather than like having your palms down in terms of clinging to my house, my belongings, the things, because if you take them away, I don't know who I am and I'm not okay. It's like, it's okay to have them, because also like living in today's world, like that is the reality, right? Like you do need to have things.
Yes. Yeah.
But it's like, if you take it away, I know like my value isn't based on the stuff that I have or the things that I own. I'm not like going to cripple without it.
Yeah. And she talks about like towards the end of the book is like how money is just like a flow of water. Like it comes and it goes. Sometimes you have a big rush. Sometimes you have a trickle. Sometimes it gets a bit stuck, sometimes. And it was just like this really beautiful analogy of like some people have more, some people have less, but it's like it is just an energy that kind of like passes through you. And it's like some people allow it to affect them more than it should. And there's like one question in the beginning of the book, and she's like, when you do spend money, are you making a choice to spend that money because it aligns with your values, or are you doing it out of fear, about scared that you're going to miss out, for example? And I really sat there and I was like, oh my gosh, there's a lot of choices I make with my money in a roundabout way are a fear of missing out, not in like the FOMO sense that we know, but like even buying a house, right? It's like, oh, I need to do that because that's the thing that you do and that's what everyone else does. And that's, yes, it's how to grow wealth, but even that in itself, growing wealth through property, through investments, like it's all to have more and more and more. Yes, there's a point where you have financial independence and freedom, but at what point do you stop like running that race?
When you say, like I love the analogy of the water, I think that Roxy Nafusi in that conversation we had with her, she spoke about that a lot. And so maybe we could link that into the podcast show notes if you haven't listened to that episode, because she spoke a lot about how money is an energetic exchange. And I think it was totally an unlock for me. But what you just said then about like choosing to spend out of fear, can you think of some other examples in the book? Because I really want to reflect on that for myself.
I think it's for like, are you maybe buying clothes because you want to fit in and you want to, or is it actually because of how it makes you feel? It's more just making sure that when you spend money, it aligns with your values. And we've kind of said that, and it's, I think for maybe quite a few people, it's like, yeah, but what does that mean? Do you know what I mean? Like even for me, spending aligned with your values, it's like, yeah, when I buy gifts for other people, that noticeably I feel really great about that, and it's like that kind of comes back to this like money is a flow of water. It's like a flow of, it needs to flow, like it flows from me to the business owner who makes the coffee, which is exactly what Roxy was saying. It's like it's just a flow, and it's like
it's a big ecosystem.
It really carries your intentions as well, because if you're spending money on cigarettes, yeah, that's your intention, is that you are
supporting a business,
blowing money to that business that provides that for, and it's like making.
It's such a good way to think of it. I really love that.
Yeah. Also, they also talk about how it can be such a blessing and a curse. And part of me, I was like, yeah, okay, billionaires, like they have it so tough. But I remember she deals with these like, billionaires, people that have inherited a whole lot of wealth and completely lost themselves, completely, have no idea who their friends are because it's all been dictated by money. Like they have no drive, determination. They don't know their own purpose, like all of that. And there's been people that, it's created divides amongst family. There was one lady there, she was just like, I do not want to inherit any of my family's wealth. It was a family of billionaires. She's like, I've seen what it's done to my parents and my grandparents, and I don't want any of that. And it's like, it can be a curse. If you get too much of a flow, it can really.
You're drowning.
Yeah. It's just interesting to view it as like this thing that just flows through your life, out of your life, into things that you want to pass it on to. And
I really like what you said earlier as well about the idea of some people have more, some people have less, like at different times in your life. I think something I know when we've spoken about this, like on social media, or I don't know if we've spoken about on the podcast before, but like no one is in an exact similar position to you, right? Like no one has the same amount of assets, the same amount in their bank account, the same access to inheritance or whatever as you do.
Yeah.
And like, yes, there's the piece of realizing you don't know what they're paying for or what's happening behind the scenes. Like you don't know what someone's actual financial picture is. So you've got to try and not be jealous of other people that have more. But it's also maybe like thinking about it in that someone might have a really full river at that point in time, but it doesn't mean they're always going to.
Yeah.
And just because you've got a trickle at the moment doesn't mean it's always going to be. It's like accepting the fact that like water, energy, and money flows in different stages at different times of your life.
Yeah.
and just like kind of letting go of trying to hold on to the
trying to
control
stop the flow,
or compare your pool of water with someone else's.
And it's like, it's almost like an energy, right? And we can direct it where we want to. And, you know, when we treat it with like fear or guilt, then that kind of energy stagnates. Whereas if we actually embrace it and use it with the really purpose and clarity, it can actually be quite powerful. You know, if you're like, I actually want to support this charity, or I actually want to support this company, or I actually want to buy this gift for this person that's in need, or like anything like that, it's like that creates a real purpose and clarity to flow that money in that direction.
I also love the idea of that. Like, just even if we were to say like you were giving to charity right now, like let's say there was like a charity you're really passionate about. When you go to like make that payment or give that person money, it's like sending intention with it too. Like, because it's not just the money that goes into their account. It's like,
and she spoke about, she's like, I had to go to this really, really wealthy CEO and get money for a charity. And she said he didn't even know what the charity was about, like just so disinterested, and gave her like absolutely no time of day, wrote a check because he wanted the business to look like it was supporting. You know, he didn't value their charity. He just wanted to do it from a PR standpoint, essentially. She said she put the money in put the check in her back pocket, and like for months just didn't do anything with it. She didn't deposit it. She didn't use it. And then she went to a community, I don't know where it was, in America somewhere, and like everyone, like they had very, very little possessions, and yet they'd all scraped together their last $50 or whatever it was as a community to put. And she was like, that money has way more meaning. And the people's view of money was just like, it's a flow of money. It'll come back. If I give this to this charity, then it'll come back. And, you know, like it was this whole, and some people might be like, oh, that's so airy-fairy and that's so, but it's, I don't know. It's like when you have that intention, I truly believe that what you put out there, you get back. And it's
100%.
Yeah.
I think it makes so much sense. And like, this is a weird example, but like you can even notice it in like food, for example. Like, you know, if you're like, and I'm trying to make this not woo-woo, but like, let's say you travel heaps for work and you're always eating in restaurants and you're always eating out or takeaway or whatever, and you're quite disconnected from your food source, like in terms of where the produce is coming from, who's making your food. Like, you can't explain it, but it doesn't feel right. After a while, you're like, all I want is a home cooked meal. And it's not just the fact that it's healthier. Yeah. There's something about the energetics of like, you're putting something in your body that's been made either by you or someone you love. And I don't know, you're just more connected to it. I think that sometimes it's easy to say like, oh, energetic is woo-woo. It's not. Like, you might not even notice it, but even in small ways, you might eat out at restaurants for a week. There's something in you that's like,
I need to go back to my roots, essentially. Yeah. She also like talks about how that money is like a current, not a possession, which kind of comes into the flow thing. And she's like, it wants to move, it wants to serve, it's here, you know, it has a purpose essentially, and that's to serve. And yeah, like when we dam it up out of fear or it stagnates, so do we. And she's like, you know, she talks to some of the wealthiest people, and many really shared this sense of like anxiety and guilt and like spiritual emptiness with money, even though they had, you know, financial abundance. They had so much money, but it just meant nothing to them. Whereas, and it was kind of the example I was talking about before, you know, and it creates this like anxiety and guardedness around money because you've created, you know, you're kind of like keeping it enclosed because you're like, oh my gosh, I don't want to be taken advantage of, or I don't want to, you know, spend on this or that. You know, you're damming it up. And she's, obviously spoken with people that have very little and are very open and kind of generous with their money, and they're at peace with that. And it's just like this whole, it's not greed. I think it's just, when you have so much, the kind of the value of it, the spiritual value of it almost isn't there.
I think there's two things you're saying there. Yeah. And that second part I think is fascinating, because that's definitely speaking more to people who have so much that they're so disconnected from what they spend or where their money goes, because it's not an energetic exchange, because they could be pouring out into the trash and they would still have so much left. But one of the things that you just said in terms of the dam, I think is really interesting, because
it's almost like if you become if you try to keep it and not let it flow, it has the adverse effects.
Yeah. And I think I guess there's two things, right? You can be careful and you can be measured in like a planned and conscious way with your money.
Yeah.
But I think that there's a difference between that and this fear of spending and damning and like stopping. Because if I think about my life, like if I think back to my time in Sydney, I was a dam with everything in my life, particularly my money. And I know I've spoken about this before, but like if I could explain the energetics of it, it was like extreme fear and guarding and like I was mistaking that for being sensible with my money.
Yes.
I think there's such a difference with whether it's going and spending money on something small like a bunch of flowers, for example, which, you know, at that point in time would have been a real waste and there's no way I would have spent money on a bunch of flowers. But if I had a different mindset where it was like I have a bit of money there that I know I can spend on things that bring me joy.
And that's really attached to my values and like, will bring me joy.
Or
like,
whatever it is. It's like it's just having a looser grip. I think you can still be planned and you can still be like thinking about it. Because I think for me, when I spend without any plan or I don't know where my money is, that gives me almost more damn energy.
Yes. Yeah.
Whereas if I have my money in different sort of pots and I know what I can spend, it's way less of a damn because I know the money's there to spend. I think maybe there's two things there. It's like you can still have measures in place to make sure that your money is flowing in the directions that you want it to flow. Yeah.
And it's also
without being irresponsible.
Yes. I think in terms of what we educate as well is like every spending decision has an active power. And we always talk about that, right? Like when you invest, you vote with your wallet. When you even when you spend at a certain coffee shop, like that is an active power. You are giving that business or that person your money and that you're flowing them energy, you're giving them with an investment, tick of approval essentially. It's like, I want, I'm giving you my money. So if we looked at our kind of your money reflects your values, if someone were to look at your bank statement, what do you think they'd learn about you? Or what do you think they would figure out that you care about?
Okay, let me have a look. This is actually really interesting and kind of scary, but which account should I look at?
Maybe your non-essentials, because I feel like that's a bit more interesting. She says that you should look at your bank statement in the same way that you would look at a diary. Like it should reflect you as a person and it should really tell the truth about who you are and what your values are.
Oh, shit balls. I'm not stoked about what this says about me.
Margaritas.
Oh, no. This is not good. This is not good at all, Vic. I have Burger King on here.
Oh, yum.
I was really hungover at the airport. Romeo and Julieta, this amazing gelato shop.
Oh my gosh.
Oh shit. I've not been a good version of myself.
Value food.
My diary's been bad. I also did Uber Eats, which I haven't done in years. And there's Uber Eats on here. There's Uber. Shit. Coffee. Amazon. I don't like it. I don't like my digital money diary. Efficiency, buying shit online, not buying locally. Not good.
That's all right.
Oh no, I'm gutted about that. I would not I would not want to be friends with me. Gosh, that's actually, I think that's a really good exercise.
Your investments, let's put your investments in there. I think your investments definitely align with your values, but it's also looking at all money, right? Like it's your spending, it's your investing. It's not just like we talk a lot about investing, aligning with your values, but it's also your spending, right?
It's also interesting because I think if you were to zoom out from this and all you took was like food or, the stuff I've actually bought, it's one thing. But I think it's where have you bought it from?
Yes.
And for how much?
Yeah.
It's the layer deeper than what you're buying because I love the idea of supporting local. I love the idea of buying local produce. I love the idea of being healthy and putting things in. If I look at my bank statement right now, it's kind of the antithesis of that, which is interesting just to like have a look at yourself and have a look at your bank statement and think like, am I proud? Does this reflect who I want to be?
Yeah. Is this a good diary? Is this like, if someone read my diary, would they be, like, oh, Soph really lives with intention and like.
No, like I want this to be like way more local rather than buying for efficiency or buying for like, trying to save time. And I also want I want there to be things that are more like selfless.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm if you look at that, it's very selfish. It's all for myself.
But it's not meant to be shameful, right? It's just supposed to be like, I don't know, a reminder that your money choices tell a story about you. And I think that's something to remember. It's like, it's very easy nowadays to just tap or like just, you know, we don't have to hand over money like we used to back in the day, you know, but it's like it's like every choice that you make in life is a reflection of you, you know, whether you do decide to hang out with your family or, I don't know, hang out with friends, you know, that's a choice that you're making. If you decide to exercise or not, that's a choice that you're making. It's like, it's very, I
think the other thing is what I like about looking at your spending and it being a reflection or like a digital money diary in a way is that also not only is paying with a card way easier to be like quite subtle and it's not a physical, I'm handing something over to you exchange. So it's less conscious in that way, but also because money for so long has been this taboo subject that you don't talk about. When would you ever show your bank statement to somebody?
Yeah.
But actually it's such a good exercise to look at yourself and look at your own spending and say like, am I proud of the person that I am being with my money?
Yeah.
Or not? And like, in all honesty, I'm so not when I look at that. I look at that and I think, cancel your Amazon subscription. Like immediately.
Yeah. But I think it's also like, you don't need to be rich to live in alignment, right? Like it's like you can, even the small decisions of like how you spend your time in the weekend, how, you know, it really all adds up to like your financial integrity. And I think that's
financial integrity. God, that's powerful.
Yeah. And that's like, she talks about giving to charity and she's got stories from donors that have really shifted from like a guilt-based investing of like, I need to donate, like I don't donate as much and like, oh gosh, to this like values-based giving, which is I get to contribute to something meaningful. And it's like, we all could probably donate more, but it's creating that like, I want to contribute to something meaningful rather than I need to donate, you know, because
and that comes back to the intention
totally,
and like the impact that money will have.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's just like, you don't need to be rich to make meaningful financial decisions. Like a £5 decision is much more powerful than a £5,000 decision if it truly reflects who you are.
Oh, I think this is so inspiring.
I think you'd really like it actually. Another thing she talks about, we kind of touched on this, is like sufficiency. And it's, you know, we even talk about, and this is how I was like, oops, we talk about this. It's like have an abundance mindset, you know, and she's like, no, sufficiency is not the same as abundance. It's like, it's not about more, it's about having enough. And sufficiency is not an amount. It's not a dollar figure. It also doesn't mean like settling for less. It means recognizing like the richness of what you already have. And that's not just money, right? That's like health, wealth, family, education, like all of that. And it helps shift you away from constantly chasing and like actually living with intention. And it kind of comes back to what we were talking about before about, you know, I am enough, I have enough, there is enough, is kind of what she keeps putting back into the book. Yeah.
Oh my God, Vic, this is really hitting me where it's like, far out.
Yeah.
Sometimes I wish I could hear these things and then just like hide in a cave for a bit because it's just so easy to get distracted or swept up in.
Oh yeah. The race or the hustle or the like the stress of wanting more.
Oh, I know that, but I'm going to do this. Or I know that, but.
I kind of want to like print out quotes and stick them all around my room and like the office. And it's like, money carries your intention. We all have enough, you know, like just like this constant reminder, because it's so easy to listen to this podcast or read the book and then kind of just fall back into old habits. And
especially when you're being told constantly by all angles in society that almost the opposite of that, you know?
Yeah. But even like I have sufficient. I have enough. I am enough. There is enough.
I love that.
Like such powerful words to even wake up to in the morning rather than like, I haven't had enough sleep. It's like, no, I am enough. I have enough. There's enough.
I love it. I think those three are like really powerful.
Yeah. And then lastly, she's like, money has no power except the power that we give it, which is like So true. It's a currency. It's the power is what we give it in terms of like where we distribute it and what we intend to do with it, or what we spend it on, or whether we hoard it, and giving, whether it's giving your time, your skills, your kindness, or your money, it's like is one of the most freeing things that you can do with your resources. So
I love the idea of the intention behind where you spend. And I also love the idea that you give it the power you want. So for example, if you want to use your money to, I don't know, improve something that you don't like about the world, or, to contribute to a charity that is doing the work that you wish you had more time to do, or you can be really intentional with your resources and you can give it the power that you want.
It's also on the flip side as well, right? Money has no power except the power that you give it. If you're stressed out because you don't have enough money, don't let it give you that power. Like reframing, it's like it only has a hold over you if you let it. And yes, there's little things that you can do that can set you up to like free yourself from that financial stress, like having an emergency fund and things like that. But that's to almost like release you from this hold that it has. And whether it's a fear or whether it's a stress, you're spending, whatever it is, but it's like, you're literally a piece of paper. Why do you have so much control over me? Do you know? It's like, why is this thing that someone's created, this means of exchange, have so much control over me, my mental health, my mindset, what I can achieve in life, like all of this? It's like, no. And I know this is like, it's a capitalist society we live in, I get it, like, but it's still, don't let something so
it's almost like a made up
just have control over you.
It's almost like a made up concept. It's an exchange. You're exchanging. Yeah. God, wow. How amazing. What an incredible book.
Yeah.
And how did it make you feel when you like looked at your own bank statements and you thought like, is this a reflection of me?
I think it definitely made, I think the flow of money, the energy exchange, like not letting it have power over you, like all of that. Like I do find, I think, with what we do at the Curve and my own personal situation, find money quite all-consuming at times, and in positive ways and negative ways, but just like it is such a flow throughout my whole life, all facets of it. And so I find it really hard to disconnect from that. And even like the palms up thing is a really good analogy of letting it do its thing is kind of this fear that you create that you're not going to have enough. It's like, I don't want to wake up when I'm 70 or 80 years old and be like, wow, I worried my whole life about having enough money. And I didn't actually just lean in and kind of enjoy and live with purpose and like all of that. So I don't know. I really admire people that don't let money control them.
It's so interesting, Vic, because like from the outside, watching how you are with money in your personal life and in business, whilst on the one hand, like, and you've opened up about this on the podcast about like financial burnout and it really, really impacting your stress levels and the way you interact with friends and in your relationship, you've definitely spoken about that. So I'm not trying to say that it's not a thing, but from the outside, you, more than a lot of people I know, do actually give that. Like, and I don't know if it is how you feel in terms of like
not letting it control me.
Yeah, I know that you get really stressed out by money, and for good reason. I think when you're running a business and you're employing people, like of course it's really important to be aware of like how much runway you have and all of those things. But like you spend money in a way that doesn't make other people around you feel stressed. Like when you spend on something, and maybe it's because you feel it all internally and then you don't put it on other people, but to be around you, like in a group setting, if we're like spending money on something or you're buying someone a gift, like you never put like how that exchange of spending or buying for whatever it is, you never let like the emotions or the way it's impacted you affect other people. And an example of that would be like, if a bill comes, even if you're like, oh God, that's more than I was expecting or whatever, you pay your share and it's not like something that like seeps into other people. Whereas I think I think that my fear and the way that money controls me and impacts my life and maybe it's because I'm just like a classic oversharer all the time, but I think that probably I let that impact people around me more than I would like to. That you can spend freely within your means, which I think is really admirable.
But I think that in itself, to me, is like, okay, well, I've got to continue this progress, this drive, this like creating wealth. So then I can do that. Do you know what I mean? Like it's like this.
You're driven by the like, okay, I'm glad I can do it, but I have to keep going to be able to do the thing. It's like the hamster wheel.
Yeah, it's like the hamster wheel.
But I think two things can be true, right? Like you can still want to be able to live in a certain way and want to be able to be generous and want to be able to spend the money that you like in a way that works for you. But also knowing that like where you are right now is enough. And if for some reason you were in a different position, it's like the palms up thing. Like you earn half as much money, and you might not be able to be as generous financially, but like you'd be generous in other ways and you'd be content with where you're at. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I can sort of strive for this and I can be happy with where I am at the exact same time, which is a hard balance because I think if you're like constantly trying to get somewhere to also be present where you are and happy where you are, it's such a like almost cognitive dissonance because you trying to be present but get somewhere too and
I think it's made me realize, this book in particular, like, yes, it was a book about money, but it's also like so much bigger than that. You know, it's like a book about like how we live and living with intention. And there was parts in it I was like, oh my goodness, I am so guilty of that. Like even like I have to donate more money. I have to donate, you know, like I feel really guilty that I don't donate more money to like charities and stuff and don't support charities. And I feel really selfish when I spend money on myself and like all of this. And it's like, no, but that's not, even if I gave £50 to a charity, that doesn't make me feel, you know, probably any better. Whereas, you know, maybe going out and getting ingredients and making a friend some food who's just had a baby and is exhausted and giving that, if the same £50, you know, like, I don't know, that's probably a bad example, but like, do you know what I mean? I think that like is way more intentional than just like, and this will be different for different people, but I think it's
almost thinking about like, it's so interesting because we think about our money as a currency, but it's thinking about energy as a currency. It's thinking about all elements of the things that we do and give to friends, to the world, to each other, to ourselves as a currency. And it's easy to be so disconnected from the currency of money and think of it very practically rather than putting the emotion and love and intention behind where we're putting that money. And like that's why if I look at mine and I look at how much I've spent on Amazon in the last week, which to be fair I only activated literally a week ago, but for me it was like trying to do something quickly to get it done, to do the thing, rather than thinking I get to spend money on something. I get to go in and like actually choose a new hairbrush. How exciting. Where do I want to buy it from? What business do I want to support? It's like it's changing your spending mindset into like this, that it actually isn't, you have to be intentional. And if you want to be intentional in other parts of your life, money has to come into that too.
And it's funny, I think it was this book. I'm kind of 99% sure it was in this book, but I've read a few since then. This example of like she was really excited to go look after her granddaughter who was like maybe 3 or 4 years old, and she was like, oh, I'm going to take her shopping. I'm going to go to this place, this place, this place. And like she was so excited. She had the whole day planned. And then her son and daughter-in-law called her up and were like, hey, like we want our daughter to start living a really intentional life, and we don't want to buy her, you know, toys from big corporates and big, you know, companies where there's lots of plastic or all of that. And she was like, we'd really, you know, these are the stores that we buy our stuff from because they, you know, we're supporting local and they're ethical and they're made with good products and ingredients and all of that. And yeah, she said it for her. She was like, oh my goodness, here I was thinking I was doing something good for my granddaughter. Yeah, it was just like kind of this like classic example of like, oh my God, I can so see so many grandparents and parents, you know, doing that for their kids. But then it's like, what are you instilling with your kids? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a bad example.
I mean,
but
no, it's
like,
not a bad example. I think my brain is just going so many places right now because as an example, like how many times on this podcast and off this podcast have I talked about how like eating with intention is important to me? You know, like I bang on about like, I love going to an organic shop, blah, blah, blah. But like for the last 5 months, I've been ordering my groceries online from this place.
Yeah.
They come in plastic. I mean, to be fair, like, thank God they picked the plastic bags up, but like, it is the opposite of spending my money on things that are aligned.
Yeah.
Do you know, weirdly, you know how I went to a singles night where, and I was speaking to someone who was he was talking about being a vegetarian, and I was like, oh, I used to be vegan. And I don't know what came over me, but as we were talking about it, I found myself getting really choked up, and I was like, started getting like tears in my eyes, and I was like, oh my God, I cannot cry at this party. Like, this is so embarrassing. And I actually wasn't even that drunk. I'd had like 3.5 drinks, and I started getting really emotional about the fact that I eat meat. And like, it's such a stupid example, but the point is like, in that moment, I realized what's underneath the way I'm living is misaligned with what makes me feel good.
Yeah.
And it was like there that I was like, oh my God, I've been, eating in a certain way because it's convenient and it's cheaper and it's like just easier for me right now. But at the end of the day, it's like, it is a little bit misaligned from what feels good for me. And the fact it came up in that setting was obviously incredibly embarrassing. But it was also but it's stuff like that, right? It's like stopping and pausing and like taking stock of your life.
Yeah.
And how are you spending your money and where are you spending it?
Yeah. And I think the biggest takeaway for me was just like, she asked these questions at the end. She's like, are you living in fear? Sorry, are you living from fear or from enoughness? And it's like, I am definitely living in fear. I'm always scared I'm not going to have enough money, or I'm going to lose my money, or I'm going to, not have enough to sustain my lifestyle. And I really consciously want to try and flip that into like, I have enough. I will be fine. I've got, we're so much more privileged than so many other people in this world. And yet we still think we don't have enough. Like, it's crazy every morning.
It is
I'm going to
crazy.
try and wake up and be like, I am enough. I have enough. There is enough.
I'd love that.
Yeah.
We should put that in the office.
We should.
Because it's so important. So can we then talk about like your main big key takeaways from this book? What would you say they were if you were to list them off?
This scarcity narrative is just like so false. It's like, there is enough in this world of everything. We have enough. We shouldn't be constantly trying to produce more. There is enough food, money, resources. Like, it's incredible that there are still people starving and dying. That's a whole nother can of worms. But also that money is a flow of energy, and it's only as powerful as the power that you give it. And the last one would be am I living in fear or am I living in enoughness? And unfortunately, it's fear.
We need to swap that round.
Yeah. I'd love to get her on the podcast.
Oh my God, how amazing. Wouldn't she?
Yeah.
She looks just like such a kind person as well. I just think anyone that dedicates their life to helping others is, because that in itself goes again, we talk about like we're in a society that's telling us that we don't have enough, that we need more, blah, blah, blah. She lives in the same world and yet she's choosing to be different.
Totally.
And I think that like it's people like her, like Greta Thunberg, like the people who could be doing the classic 9 to 5, earning money, doing the stuff, but they are the ones that stand up and are like, I want to do it differently. And that is like just so brave, isn't it?
100%.
What an amazing person.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for reading that. I feel like I think I would love to read it if I can borrow it.
Definitely.
For anyone that does want to read this book, The Soul of Money by Lynn Twist. And if you've had any thoughts about this episode while you've been listening, can you comment where you're listening? Because we've really been starting to encourage people to do this, and it's been so awesome to go through and read everyone's messages. Like, for a long time, we would encourage people to send us DMs on Instagram. But the problem with that is like there is so many amazing thoughts and ideas and questions that come through, and if we were to share them all on our stories, everyone would unfollow us. So if you've listened to this and you have something that you would like to share, I'm sure there's a lot of other people that would read it and value that. And if not, then you can send it to us privately. But I loved that episode, Vic. Thank you so much. And anyone else that's like either read a book like this or has other suggestions on books that they would like us to read and decipher, like really open to some book suggestions.
Yeah, definitely. I have a mountain of books to read, but I'm always keen to read more.
Okay.
Thanks,
bye everyone.
Bye. Thank you so much for listening to Raising the Curve. These conversations are designed to teach you everything you need to know to be better with your money, from saving to investing to talking with your friends about your salaries, all of that stuff.
And if you like what you heard, we would love if you could please hit subscribe wherever you're listening and leave a comment. Let us know what you thought about the episode.
And it only takes 1 second and it would really make our week, our month, our year.
Yeah.
So please do it. Okay. Love you. Bye.
Okay, quickly, The Curve was created to empower and educate you about investing, but we are not financial advisors.
Our platform exists for educational purposes only, and it doesn't provide personalized investing advice for your individual needs and should not be relied upon to make an investment or financial decision.
And always remember to do your own research before making any investment or financial decision.
We're here for any knowledge and support you need, but the final call is always yours.
And thanks for being here.
You got this.
Yeah, we know you got this.